One moment you're selling furniture. The next, you're in a labyrinth of yellow and you're not alone. You've just crossed over into the Backrooms. Welcome back to the channel where fandom is ageless. I'm your host, Kimberly, and if you didn't know, The Backrooms is an eerie internet creepypasta and a shared fictional universe about endless liminal dimensions of empty rooms. That is a mouthful. You get there by no clipping, you slip into a generic yellow room that looks familiar, but not quite right. It's a labyrinth, and there's something in there with you, watching, just out of your periphery. It's creepy as hell. While the Backrooms story as a whole is wildly extensive, the movie follows a lore created by Kane Parsons on his YouTube channel. We meet Clark, a furniture salesman who stumbles into the Backrooms. He becomes obsessed with it. And that leads Mary, his therapist, to follow him into the unknown. And now I'm hearing Frozen, the song, Into the Unknown. I've got to get past that. So jumping right into the positives, what makes Backrooms work so well, and I apologize if I say these names incorrectly, Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renata Reinsve carry the weight of a near wordless emotional journey, and they do it brilliantly. Ejiofor's Clark is a man already emotionally checked out. When he finds the Backrooms, it becomes his main focus. It's something he can control, see, and understand. And in the normal world of internal chaos ripping him apart, it feels like a blessing. Reinsve's Mary is similar. She's broken as well, but instead of helping herself, she helps others as a therapist. Mary could stay safe on the reality side of the wall, but instead, she chooses to go in for reasons I can't spoil here. But it's a layer of strength and courage that I really appreciate they've written into the female lead character. In fact, they are so good in these roles that when they flinch, you flinch. When they glance sideways, almost afraid to look at what's there, you feel that same unease and desire to ignore whatever is haunting them. Those performances are accentuated by the unique direction by Kane Parsons. And I'm really blown away at what he was able to do and how he handled it, especially given his age. My understanding is that he planned the movie out in Blender before heading to set, and it shows. His camera choices put the actors front and center, which amplified every micro expression they had. In the end, he's created a complete environment that makes everything look so close to normal, but just off enough to make you unsettled throughout the movie. And this continues in what I'm sure a myriad of other reviewers have mentioned, and having seen the original web series, I was expecting it. The found footage is impressive and works so well. You're exposed to this within the first 7 minutes of the film, and I wish I could go into detail about it, but I don't want to spoil you. Suffice it to say, it's something the Backrooms feeds on, and putting you in the position of the camera person, you do feel that fear and the unsettling situation, so the unease just sits in the pit of your stomach while you're watching. Parsons uses this in such a way that it doesn't take away from the story, but continues to add that intensity to the movie and his finished product. But that doesn't mean that this film isn't without some negatives. The first half is intense, involved, full-on eerie. The second half is odd, almost directionless, with too many avenues it tries to pull you in. That leads to an ending that just feels like, okay, it ended. Where do we go from here? It's also a really slow burn. If that's not something you like or have patience for, you might not enjoy this movie. Earlier, I mentioned the found footage was the best part of the film. I really wish there had been more of it. Maybe having the characters use it in unique ways, or even async behind some of it. Maybe showing them sitting behind a monitor, watching as a distant viewer from the cameras they had put up. All of that gives you a limited view, and while Parsons is brilliant in his direction, where you still feel that eeriness, it just, I think, would have added more to it had we had more of those scenes. That also leads me to the idea of the story didn't involve async enough. The story revolves around Clark and Mary, and that's fine because it works to get people into Backrooms that maybe don't know enough about it. But without async behind it and seeing the creature as much as we did, it didn't feel like there was a villain or something really to fear. It just goes from a level of WTF to just eerie, and I do think the movie suffers ever so slightly because of it. Speaking of those creatures, when you don't see them and all you have is the noise, the shaky camera, it works. But the more you see it, the less fearful it is. And that makes Backrooms just feel more like an annoying maze than a location with creatures hiding behind every corner where safety is not guaranteed. And finally, and this is a bit of a mixed thing because it's not a negative, but it's not a positive either. My understanding was that you didn't really need to watch the web series in order to get into the movie. And if not for the fact that my friend Nicole recommended it, I may not have watched them. So I'm not really sure if that statement is accurate. I think this series gives you so much depth and information, and it fleshes out things the movie just doesn't have time for. So you might want to watch it either before you go or definitely after. Okay, I have a theory, and I am putting it under a spoiler banner for a reason. The Backrooms might have been found or discovered by Async, but we know it always existed just on the periphery of our world. The barrier was always there, permeable but still stable, until Async destabilized it when they fortified their entryway. We know that incident opened up more doorways all over where maybe the barrier between worlds is weakest. What I think we're dealing with in the Backrooms is something organic. Something that feeds on the memories of those who wander its halls. It absorbs and it learns. Then it recreates a world like Clark said in the movie, like someone drawing a dog who has never seen a dog. It's close enough to recognize, but wrong enough to unsettle anybody who crosses into its realm. It lures you in like an anglerfish dangling its light for prey. It pulls you closer into its web. And then the creatures, they will kill you to protect their host, but you can live in there with them, like Clark did until he brought Mary into the fold. And Mary might have escaped. We're not 100% sure on that. I really don't know where she is at the end of the film. But I don't think those that do get out leave clean. They become obsessed, addicted, and they bring more people back with them. It's as if they're taken over by a parasite that makes them bring food to the host. In the end, I kept thinking of an old Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man. Aliens gave humans a book they couldn't read, but the title was To Serve Man. They took it at face value and assumed it meant cooperation, yet when they finally translated it, it was actually a cookbook. The Backrooms feel like that. There's so much yet to be translated about this vast labyrinth, and I think as long as memories feed it, there's no telling how far the Backrooms will expand. When the movie ended, my friend Nicole said adamantly, it is 100% theater worthy. We weren't even out of the theater yet. And she was 100%, nope, I'm not wavering, it is theater worthy. But I have to admit I wasn't so sure. I had to sit with the film. I had to process it. I had to let it settle. And I concluded that when the movie really excels, the theater experience added another layer to it. So because of that, and because of the fact that this movie really did make me think, I have to say it is theater worthy. All of that aside, though, I do wonder how fans who are very knowledgeable about the Backrooms in detail will feel about this movie in comparison to those who come into the theater blind. Like I said, I only knew the Parsons episodes on YouTube, interviews that he has done, and some digging I did on my own. But there's so much more beyond what we see on the movie screen. So I'm really curious if the film is enough for those who are deeply invested in the lore. Either way, I believe the movie gives enough of a tease that should lead into a new franchise. With the rooms ever expanding, you really never know what stories could come out of those dark corridors. But I want to hear from you. Did you see or plan to see Backrooms? What do you think of my theory? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to click that subscribe button to stay up to date with our reviews and reactions. We are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2026, and we would really love for you to be part of our journey on this platform. And until next time, stay safe, be kind, and remember, memories shift and warp, but the Backrooms will never give up their secrets. They'll just add you to their set pieces.